If your iPhone is not the 15 Pro or 15 Pro Max, well, it's useless now. iOS 18 was just released, and even though it brought a ton of features, Apple decided to keep Apple Intelligence stuff just for the latest Pro iPhones. And this isn't the first time, it happened before. Like that battery gate thing, when Apple silently started slowing down iPhones with somewhat degraded batteries. People noticed, and in 2020, Apple was fined for it. And then again, they were fined in 2024 by France. May seem that they've learned their lesson and changed the tactics. Instead of giving full OS updates to people, they are now just limiting certain features to only the latest and greatest. Now, don't get me wrong, Apple is king when it comes to supporting their devices. No other company supports their devices for so long, but this doesn't mean we should ignore what's happening. So how about we'll look at this whole debacle from the perspective of a regular person who doesn't have the latest iPhone, MacBook, iPad, or Apple Watch. I bet right now you're pretty much satisfied with iOS 17 that you're using. You have all the features, everything works fine, even on your old iPhone XR. Without digging too deep, it may seem like the iOS 18 update isn't really all that necessary. A couple of things been redesigned, more customization options were added. No big deal, right? Not really. Because even though the best features were reserved for the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max, there are plenty of improvements that are worthy of updating. Like those customization options I already mentioned. The apps on the home screen can now be arranged in any way you like. These icons also automatically switch to dark mode, and you can even adjust the color of the icons. This is cool, I like that. Previously, we had to use shortcuts and custom icon packs to create minimalistic iPhone setups, but now it's just a toggle in the settings. The control center also got better. It has a new design now with much more rounded icons. Oh, and it's divided into screens now, like a separate screen for music, and the icons in the lock screen now can be also replaced with something that you want. Oh, good. Now I can get rid of that camera button and replace it with music. I can say a lot about this iOS update, but luckily it doesn't make the battery life worse. I'm still charging my 15 Pro Max once every 2 days, and I do it with this Ugreen 2-in-1 charger, the sponsor of today's video. This little brick neatly folds out and can charge my iPhone and my AirPods at the same time. What's great is that it's not your typical wireless charger. This one supports Qi 2 standard, which allows for up to 15 watts of power. This way I can pretty much fast charge my phone. AirPods are charged at only 5 watts, which helps preserve the battery health. The charger has very strong magnets, and the phone doesn't fall off while charging. I can put the phone vertically or horizontally in the standby mode, put the charger next to my laptop, and have a great clock looking at me. Oh, and almost forgot, there is a Type-C port on the side where I can plug the Apple Watch charger and charge 3 devices at once. That's pretty cool. The charger has all the protection systems and is safe from overvoltage, overcurrent, overheat, and even short circuits. So when I charge my phone on it, I know it's safe and sound. And like I said, it's foldable, which is really convenient for traveling. It's very sturdy and has this nice premium feeling. I think this might be my favorite charger. I will leave a link to it in the video description. Be sure to check it out. All iPhones, starting with XR and XS, support iOS 18, which is great. A few years back, this would have been enough for a full OS update, but this year, Apple decided to pull all the stops. Because the list of features that even the 6-year-old iPhones get doesn't end here. It's not like it was with iOS 16. If you remember, the update was quite minor, had a few visual changes, but some useful changes were limited to iPhone 11 and newer, but those features were quite small and simple, insignificant even, not like the AI magic we're getting now. This year, only the proper AI stuff is limited, but I'm definitely gonna come back to this. If those were all the features that were getting added, I would have just ignored the update. But luckily, even old iPhones get more useful stuff. So what else will your now obsolete, this is ridiculous, iPhone 14 Pro get? Hiding apps is cool, as well as locking certain apps with Face ID. Am I the only one who was hoping to see some sort of a guest mode? But never mind. The Messages app now lets you schedule messages and gives additional formatting options. And if you have the iPhone 14 and newer, you can now send messages via the satellite, not just emergency calls. The Mail app got updated with an improved design and a new sorting system. The Photos app got better. There's a lot of this minor stuff, like the gaming mode, which reduces the background activity and latency for AirPods and wireless controllers. There's also the Passwords app that stores all your passwords. Neat. I'm testing it right now on my iPhone 15 Pro, and if I ignore all the AI features for now, I'd say the overall experience is quite alright. The phone doesn't overheat and everything runs fairly okay, no weirdness detected. But this is the latest iPhone, and in older models, you might actually see some issues. Even so, the update feels solid already, even without all the AI stuff. But again, if you have an older iPhone like 10s or 11, get ready for not very smooth sailing. I can guarantee that the iOS 17 was already pushing the hardware, and with all the added features to iOS 18, you will be definitely putting your phone under a lot of stress. iOS updates have always felt somewhat strange for the owners of older devices. They were either super useless, super minor, or super uncomfortable. Like when I dug out my old iPhone 8 a few years back and installed the latest iOS onto it, it was the worst iPhone experience ever. Constant lags, unresponsiveness, and the phone was getting really hot. So if you do decide to install the beta version of iOS 18 now, there is a chance that you can face similar issues, especially if you're rocking an older iPhone. On 14 Pro, most likely everything's gonna be okay, but on 10s and 11, now, I know that I said that even without AI, the new OS updates seem solid, but in this case, the experience will be the most incomplete it's ever been. AI features this year are huge, and without them, you'll probably constantly feel that you are missing something, like the cleanup feature in Photos that lets you delete unwanted elements by just circling them. We saw this with Pixel phones, by the way, and if your iPhone isn't a 15 Pro, you can try the same feature in the Google Photos app. Siri became more powerful than ever with the use of advanced on-device large language models. It understands context much better, has better memory, and can just do more. And soon it will learn to interact with apps on your phone and other devices. Not bad, right? But the most interesting thing was the ability to use ChatGPT right from the system for complex queries, more advanced image generation, and so on. And apparently, Apple plans to add other AI models into the mix, like Gemini, for example. This is a very smart move. Instead of creating a huge model from scratch, Apple just uses someone else's code. So we as users get all the benefits of AI and the comfort of tight integration in the Apple ecosystem. You will also use AI for recording and transcribing calls, as well as transcribing voice memos. Safari's got a new reader mode that can summarize web pages for you. AI is gonna be sprinkled all over the system. For example, everywhere you type, you will be able to engage writing assistants for proofreading, rewriting, and summarizing any text. This Apple Intelligence will also summarize important notifications and messages, help with emails, help you easily find photos just by describing them, and so much more. But did you notice that I haven't really shown you any of these AI features firsthand? Well, that's because AI features won't be available in betas until sometime this fall. So can you live without them with just the basic iOS 18 features? Well, sure, why not? And by the way, some of these AI features are already available on Mac, like transcribing voice memos or calculating stuff in Notes app. But for more stuff, we'll have to wait till fall. So even on the latest iPhones, you will practically get the same iOS experience as on older models right now. And now, iPhone users can be angry for two reasons. The best features are not only limited to the latest iPhones, but also aren't available right now. And no one knows when the full final rollout will be. But instead of being angry, I want to figure out why restrict these features to only the 15 Pro. Look, I get it. The neural engine in the A16 and 14 Pro is capable of only 17 tops, and A17 Pro and 15 Pro can do 35 tops, twice the power. But don't you agree that some of these AI features could have worked in older iPhones as well? For example, the smarter Siri could have worked fully in the cloud, and Apple straight up said that some processing will be done in the cloud, so why not give the smart Siri to at least the 14 Pro owners? We've already been in this exact situation before. A few years back, Apple introduced on-device Siri, and it was limited to 10s or newer. So honestly, I see no reason to allow at least the 14 Pro users to get full Siri experience, but without on-device processing. Or let's leave the app interaction feature to 15 Pro, but smarter replies and better memory to at least 14 Pro. Or how about that cleanup feature? It literally works in a standalone Google Photos app you can download to your old iPhone. So why can't it work 14 Pro or even 13 Pro? This whole limitation idea is what I really hate about Apple's OS support. On paper, the company really does support their devices for many years, but now it seems like this support doesn't give the full experience and only forces you to upgrade to the shiny new model, like the camera situation. The iPhone 15 uses the same SoC as the 14 Pro and the same camera sensor. The iPhone 15 can do automatic portraits and 24 megapixel photos. 14 Pro cannot. So should you really upgrade? I'd say right now you shouldn't install the developer beta. I'd recommend waiting until July and first public beta will be more refined with less hidden issues and possibly a bit more features for you to try. If you've already installed the update and want to go back to iOS 17, it's not that easy to do. You need to make sure you've created the backup of your phone, iPad, or Mac before installing the beta. Then you plug the phone to your Mac and restore it. It takes some time, but you will get it. I do hope when the final version of all OSs will ship in September, we'll get all AI features to try out at once. It's gonna be super fun, but again, you will need the latest iPhone for that. And in case you're in the market for a new iPhone, we have a great video with typical buying mistakes. Be sure to check it out.